Chapter 1. Button 9. Floor unknown. I pressed the button for the 9th floor with my elbow mostly because my hands were full of files and a lukewarm iced coffee I regretted buying. The elevator dinged open with its usual stutter, just as the door started to close behind me. A sneakered foot slid in. Jay. Tank top. Gym shorts. A towel slung over one shoulder. I didn't even need to look. My body clocked his scent first. Like citrus and clean sweat. Damn. Hey, he said casually, nodding at me like we were just two guys who'd spoken before. Hey, I muttered back, eyes fixed on the glowing panel above the door. Silence stretched. The elevator creaked slightly, beginning its slow ascent, then it jerked. Hard. My coffee spilled. The lights flickered. And just like that, dead stop. Oh, come on, I groaned. Jay raised an eyebrow. Well, that's new. I hit the emergency button, like it owed me money. Nothing. I've tried again. Still nothing. I looked at Jay, trying not to look at him too long. Do you have signal? He pulled out his phone, tapped the screen, then shook his head. Nope. You? I checked mine. One blinking bar, then it disappeared. Great. We stood there, the hum of stale air conditioning slowly dying. A bead of sweat rolled down my neck. It was getting hot, fast. You okay? He asked, watching me closely. I'm fine, I said too fast. Jay leaned against the wall and slid down to sit cross-legged on the floor. Well, I've had worse Tuesdays. I stayed standing. My heart was doing this jittery tap dance in my chest. Not because I was scared of being stuck, but because I was stuck with him. We weren't friends. Barely neighbors. I mean, I knew his name, knew his laugh through the thin walls, knew he had people over, sometimes guys. Mostly, I avoided him on purpose. Not because I didn't like him. Exactly, because I did. You gonna stand the whole time? Jay asked, glancing up at me with a lazy smirk. I hesitated, then sat down across from him. Our knees were nearly touching. You live in 9B, right? He said like he didn't already know. Yeah, you're 9C. Been there 3 years. You've never said more than 5 words to me. I shrugged. I'm busy. Jay tilted his head with spreadsheets. I rolled my eyes. Some of us have real jobs. He grinned. Ouch! We lapsed into silence again, but this time it felt different. Not heavy, just charged. The elevator creaked once more. Jay leaned his head back against the wall. You think they'll get us out? Soon? Depends if the super's sober. Jay chuckled. So, long night ahead. And for some reason, that didn't sound like a nightmare. It sounded like something else entirely. Chapter 2. Heat rising. 20 minutes in, my shirt was sticking to my back. Jay had stripped off his tank top entirely. Just tossed it into the corner like it was no big deal. I genuinely tried not to look. Didn't work. He leaned forward, resting his forearms on his knees. Muscles flexed with casual ease. A little sweat traced the dip of his collarbone. I could survive a blackout, Jay said, breaking the silence. But a blackout in a metal box with no air. That's cool. I half laughed, half choked. You seem weirdly calm about it. I like seeing people when they are uncomfortable. Tells you who they really are. Deep. Accurate. Jay reached into his gym bag, fished out a half-empty bottle of water, and held it out to me. I hesitated. You sure? He arched an eyebrow. Would I offer if I wasn't? Our fingers brushed as I took the bottle. Cold condensation met warm skin. A weird jolt ran up my arm. I gulped 2 sips, then passed it back quickly. You always this. Generous with strangers. You're not a stranger, he said easily. You're the guy who always looks away when we pass in the hallway. My ears burned. I don't you do, Jay cut in. Not mean about it. Why? I looked down at my shoes, then at the emergency light flickering above. I don't know. You scared of me or something? No. Then what is it? That was the thing. I didn't know how to answer. I guess I just keep to myself. I mumbled. Jay leaned in slightly, voice softer. You think I don't notice the way you freeze up around me? Like if I said hi to directly, you'd chatter. His Tony wasn't teasing anymore. Just curious. I swallowed hard. Jay shifted. I heard the brush of skin on metal, then felt his hand graze mine by accident. We both froze. In the darkness, even breathing felt louder. Matt, he said, voice low. You okay? My voice came out quieter than I meant. Yeah, just wasn't expecting a blackout. Jay didn't move away. His hand stayed right where it was. Somewhere in that silence, I became aware of three things. I wasn't afraid of the dark. I wasn't afraid of Jay. I was terrified of how much I wanted him to touch me again. I don't know how long we sat like that. Long enough for the sweat to dry, then return. Long enough for my pulse to settle and spike again. Then he whispered, almost like he didn't mean for me to hear. You don't have to be scared of what you want, Matt. And just like that, I couldn't breathe at all. Chapter 3. Almost. The elevator was still dark, still quiet, and Jay's words were still circling my head like they were carved in neon. You don't have to be scared of what you want, Matt. What I wanted right now, that was the problem. I didn't even know how to name it. I shifted slightly, our arms brushing again. I didn't pull away this time. Jay's voice came softer now. Ever wonder why I didn't say anything sooner? I shook my head, forgetting he probably couldn't see that. No, I said. I mean, yeah, kinda. He exhaled a slow breath. You looked at me like I was radioactive. You mean dangerous? No. I mean impossible. Like if you even admitted I existed, your whole building would collapse. I gave a weak laugh. That sounds about right. Jay adjusted again, and I could feel the slight movement of air as he leaned closer. But I'm not impossible. I turned toward him. Our knees bumped. My heartbeat thudded against my ribs like it was trying to escape. How did you know? I asked. That you weren't just busy, or that you weren't straight? I paused. Both. He chuckled softly. Call it gaydar. Or maybe just intuition. You don't stare at someone's mouth when they talk unless you're either planning to kiss them or punch them. I let out a shaky breath. I've never kissed a guy. I've never been stuck in an elevator with one who stares like you do. Guessed we're both having a first. I couldn't help it. I smiled. Then another creak. The elevator jolted slightly, groaning to life. The emergency lights flickered back on, casting a pale yellow glow. Jay looked golden in the soft light, his chest rising and falling, eyes searching mine, and suddenly we were too close. Or maybe not close enough. He reached up slowly on, tucked a damp strand of hair behind my ear. I froze. If I kiss you, he said quietly, are you going to freak out? My breath caught. Probably. Jay smiled. I'll risk it. His lips brushed mine, barely, like a question. I didn't move, didn't run, but I didn't kiss him back either. He paused, pulling away just enough to look at me. It's okay, he whispered. You don't have to be ready. The elevator groaned again this time, louder, and then began to move. Slowly, crawling upward. My chest felt tight, not from panic, from regret. I'd wanted to say something, to pull him back, but the doors dinged open. Jay stood, grabbing his shirt. He didn't look mad, just patient, like he'd already decided to wait. He offered me a hand. I took it. He didn't let go until we stepped out. Same floor, he said, a little smirk playing at his lips. What are the odds? I didn't answer, because I knew this wasn't over. Not even close. Chapter 4. Mixed signals. The elevator doors closed behind us with a quiet ding. Jay walked ahead, barefoot and easy, like nothing had just happened. I, on the other hand, was still recovering from the not-quite kiss, from the way his fingers lingered on mine like they belonged there. I unlocked my apartment and shut the door fast, and maybe too fast. Inside, the silence was deafening. I didn't sleep much that night kept replaying everything. His voice, the closeness, the heat. The part of me that leaned in, and the part that didn't. By morning, I was a mess. I went through 3 shirts before picking one that didn't scream. I kissed my neighbor in an elevator and don't know what to do next. The next few days, I avoided our hallway like it was booby-trapped. Took the stairs, peered through the peephole before opening the door. It was stupid, childish, but I wasn't ready. On Thursday, I came home to find a sticky note on my door. Asterisk elevators fixed. But I kinda missed the company. J asterisk. I stared at it for a long time. That weekend, there was a rooftop party. Our building threw one every summer bee. YOB, plastic chairs, fairy lights, cheap wine. I didn't plan to go, but around 9 p.m., I found myself on the roof anyway, sipping something vaguely citrusy and pretending to text someone. And then I saw him, Jay, laughing with a group by the railing, a drink in hand, one foot tapping to the lo-fi beat pulsing from someone's speaker. He looked good. Too good. A guy beside him touched his arm. They leaned in close, whispering something. Jay smiled, didn't pull away. My stomach dropped. I didn't know what I was feeling. Zakiba. It was sharp, irrational, and tinged with heat. Jealousy. I watched a little too long. He noticed. Jay excused himself from the group and walked over. Matt, he said, voice neutral. Hey, I replied, trying not to sound like I was mid-jealous spiral. Didn't think I'd see you up here? I needed air. Same. There was a pause. I saw you looking, he said quietly. I swallowed. He, your boyfriend? Jay blinked, then laughed. Wow. You get one almost kiss, and now you're jealous I'm not. Don't worry, he said, still smirking. He's just a friend, though I didn't realize we were keeping score. I frowned. I wasn't trying to... Look, he said, voice softening. I like you, Matt, but I'm not going to play guessing games forever. I'm not playing... Then stop running. His eyes locked onto mine. Serious, steady. I didn't know what to say, but my feet moved. I stepped forward, close enough that our shoulders brushed. Jay didn't flinch. I've never done this before, I said quietly. Any of it? He tilted his head. And now... I didn't answer. I just kissed him. Right there on the rooftop, under flickering string lights, in a half-hearted summer breeze. It wasn't perfect. It was clumsy, hesitant, real. When we pulled back, he exhaled a laugh. Finally, and just like that, the static that had been building between sparked. The rest of the party blurred. We stood by the edge of the roof, not quite touching, talking about everything and nothing. The city buzzing below, his hand brushing mine now and then, like it was no big deal. But to me, it was everything. Chapter 5. Morning after. Reality check. I woke up on the couch. My shirt was on the floor. Jay's hoodie was draped over me like a peace treaty, and the smell of toasted bread wafted from the kitchen. I blinked blearily toward the sound. Jay, shirtless and humming to himself, flipping something in a pan. I sat up too fast. Regret hit instantly. My back ached and my heart did this awkward lurch. He turned, saw me, smiled. You snore, by the way. I groaned, dragging the hoodie over my head. I don't. You do. Little nose huff snores, like a sleepy chipmunk. Fantastic. Jay walked over and handed me a plate. Toast, scrambled eggs, sliced apple, ... I figured you'd be hungry. You didn't have to... I wanted to, he said, then added, also you kinda muttered my name in your sleep, so I took that as a green light. I nearly choked on toast. I what? Don't worry, he said, grinning. It was cute. I was mortified, but also warm, in this lucky, bone-deep kind of way. We ate on the couch, legs bumping occasionally, the quiet between us easy now. like the hard parts had been passed through. Like there was air in the elevator again. "Matt," he said, setting his plate down. "Can I ask you something?" I nodded, wary. "Was that kiss just a one-time heat of the moment thing? Or are you actually open to something?" I interrupted. Jay nodded. I didn't answer right away. I looked at his fingers instead, Caliste. Real resting near mine. "I'm scared," I said finally. "Of me." "No. Of me. Of what it means, if I let myself want this." Jay didn't press. He just waited. And that was the difference. He always waited. "I'm tired of hiding in stairwells," I said. "Tired of pretending I don't notice you. Of telling myself I'm straight because it's easier." Jay smiled, but not smugly. Just kindly. "You don't owe anyone an answer today. Not even yourself. But I owe you honesty," I said. He reached out, fingers slipping between mine. "Then just start there." I nodded, a little breathless. "Okay." We sat like that, holding hands. No rush, no labels, just this weird, quiet beginning. But of course, real life doesn't stay paused for long. That afternoon, my dad called. I didn't answer, but his voicemail said enough. "Matthew, call me back. We need to talk about the investor dinner. No distractions. It's important. Asterisk. Distractions. Right?" Apparently, falling in love was one of them now. I glanced at Jay, still barefoot, still calm. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't want to pick up the phone. Because maybe once I wanted to choose myself. Chapter 6. Lines in the Sand. I didn't call my dad back. Instead, I ghosted work for a day, turned off my phone, and helped Jay rearrange his bookshelf. That somehow turned into dancing to early 2000s pop in his living room. Badly. For 48 hours, life felt light. But you can only dodge calls from your father, the director of one of the most powerful banks in the city, for so long. On Monday morning, I got summoned that the investor dinner wasn't a suggestion. It was a command performance. When I walked into the lobby of the hotel, stiff in my blazer, Jay's voice was still in my head. "You don't have to be scared of what you want." Too late. I was terrified. The dinner was full of men who looked like older versions of me-tired eyes. Firm handshakes. Fake smiles. My father introduced me like a stock option. Promising, controlled, predictable. "Matthew's very focused on work right now," he told one investor, smiling. That word again. Focused, straight, safe. I nodded, laughed on cue, played the part. But then there was a pause in the conversation, and my dad leaned in slightly. "I heard something," he said quietly, too calmly. "Someone from the building saw you with a man on the roof." My throat went dry. "He's not one of us, Matthew." I blinked. "One of what?" "Someone you can build with. Don't throw away everything we've worked for over a phase." I stood up. I didn't even realize I was shaking. "I'm not throwing anything away," I said. "I'm just finally claiming what's mine." His jaw clenched. "You think that's power? Love doesn't get you board seats." "I'm not interested in board seats," I snapped. "I'm interested in living." He didn't stop me when I walked out. I rode the elevator down, palms sweating, heart racing. And this time, I wasn't stuck. I was choosing to step out. Jay opened the door on the second knock. I didn't say anything. Just reached for him. We kissed like we had time to make up for, like we knew who we were now. He pulled back just enough to speak. "You okay?" I nodded. "No, but I will be." He pulled me in. "You're not alone, Matt. Understand me. I believed it." Chapter 7. Bartmanovi. Sit. 1 year later, I moved in. Jay made room in the closet, even though half of it was filled with cameras, tripods, and an aggressively loud ring light. I added my boring button-downs and the world's least sexy financial books. Somehow, it worked. Mornings were coffee and shared earbuds. Nights were takeout on the couch, feet tangled. We still had our own spaces he needed light to create. I needed quiet to think, but our lives overlapped in all the best ways. My dad and I weren't exactly close, but we were. Civil? He never brought up the rooftop. I never brought up his voicemail. That felt like enough. I came out to my mom with less drama. She blinked twice, then said, "I always thought you had a thing for him." Moms know. Jay laughed for an hour after that. Sometimes I still caught myself staring at him when he wasn't looking. When he was editing a video, lip between his teeth. When he was folding laundry and singing off-key. When he was brushing his teeth and giving me that sleepy grin in the mirror. It heats me, then, in those quiet seconds. I hadn't just fallen for him in an elevator. I was still falling. Every day. One afternoon, I came home to find Jay on the floor with a sketch pad and our neighbor's new cat curled against his leg. He looked up, smirked. "You're late. Had to make a stop." I held out a key. He raised an eyebrow. "You already live here," I said. Figured it was time. We made it official. Jay stood, crossed the room, and kissed me like it was his full-time job. "Welcome home," he whispered. The same elevator creaked in the distance. Same old groan. Same ding. Funny how something that once felt like a trap was actually the door to everything I didn't know I wanted.